Tariffs can be a useful tool when used strategically, and they are used for various purposes. But blanket indiscriminate tariffs are almost never a good idea. They cost consumers money. They cause the targeted countries to retaliate almost 100% of the time. Many economists, including Nobel laureates, have criticized the broad application of tariffs on all imported goods. They've warned that not only would it lead to higher prices and a global trade war, but it actually could end up resulting in a loss of jobs here in America. Even the Republican Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, said recently, quote, he's not a fan of tariffs. An across-the-board tariff proposal would be unprecedented. And despite the many warnings from experts and other lawmakers, it is becoming a potentially more serious threat by the day. So it's important that we have a comprehensive discussion on tariffs. And who better to have that with than the United States Trade Representative for the current administration, Ambassador Katherine Tai. Ambassador, thank you for being on the show. We appreciate this because this is a really important conversation. It's coming up a lot, and I would suspect most people don't get up in the morning thinking a whole lot about tariffs. So let's do that for them this morning.
Thank you so much, Ali. It's wonderful to be here with you. And I get up every morning thinking about trade policy, and tariffs are a part of trade policy. So that is me.
Fair enough. Well, then that we got the right person. Let's first of all talk about the strategic use of tariffs. Some of that is for domestic manufacturing and production. Some of it is politics, because sometimes you impose tariffs as a punitive measure in other countries. New tariff hikes on $18 billion worth of Chinese goods, in fact, just took effect on Friday. So there are tariffs on a number of categories of products, green technology, semiconductors. Talk to me about why you use tariffs, where you should and where you shouldn't.
Well, I'm delighted to be a part of this conversation, Ali, which is really a conversation about trade policy and tariffs that is rational, unemotional, and sober. So let's begin by taking one step backwards, which is, as the Biden-Harris administration's trade representative, our trade policy is working in tandem with our other economic policies. And the core of our economic policy can be summed up in just a couple words, which is middle out economics, middle out and bottom up. It is in contrast to the trickle-down policies that have prevailed here in the United States and around the world for several decades now. And there is an overwhelming consensus that trickle-down just doesn't work, that by making the richest richer and benefiting those who already have so many benefits, that those benefits, that wealth, is not trickling down to the middle class or to those with aspirations of joining the middle class and our working classes. So number one, tariffs and trade can, and in our view, must be used as part of a strategy for growing the middle class and empowering the working class. And that is the basis from which we proceed.
So in 2023, for the first time in 20 years, the United States bought more goods from Mexico, $475.6 billion, than it did from China, $427.2 billion, or from any other country. Talk to me about what that means, because right now, and we're going to talk in the next segment a little bit more specifically about China, but talk to me about that. This is, in my opinion, a result of a very long and successful relationship that we have been developing with our neighbors, Mexico and Canada.
So let's look through the lens of the NAFTA, which has been reborn as the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement. Something that a lot of people don't realize is that the USMCA, as a correction for NAFTA, actually has quite a bit of democratic policy blueprint in its DNA. That the USMCA is the trade agreement the United States has that has the highest worker standards, worker protections, environmental standards, and also a worker-specific, labor-specific enforcement mechanism that, at the end of the day, does involve tariffs as not a punitive measure, I would say as a playing field leveling measure, as a consequence for bad behavior. Now, what I want to highlight is the legacy and the baggage of the original NAFTA around our workers and our industries. The flow over time, the trickle down and the trickle out, if you will, of a lot of American manufacturing that moved from the United States to Mexico. Now, one of the fundamental focuses of the NAFTA's renegotiation into the USMCA, and then now our implementation and enforcement of the USMCA, is to ensure that this trade agreement, which was renegotiated so recently, carries forward its pro-worker DNA. It's pro-leveling the playing field DNA. And that's the part I really want to highlight, which is with the shifting of trade balances, that the most important thing people should know about the USMCA is that we are, for the first time as the Biden-Harris administration, using a trade agreement of all things to help to empower Mexico's workers and empower our workers by holding accountable corporations that have offshored American manufacturing jobs to Mexico for several decades now.